Japanese people don't like when people of darker skin make sushi because it's considered filthy. And throughout Japanese history, like for example, the samurai Yasuke, when Japanese people see darker skin for the first time, it's kind of baffling for some Japanese. Like, are you dirty? Have you been playing in dirt? Have you covered yourself in ink? Like, does the black come off? Things like that to a Western audience would be seen as racist because of how konbanwa minasan, kyo desu. So, very interesting topic for today's video. I've heard from multiple sources that Japanese people don't like when people of darker skin make sushi because it's considered filthy. And I really wanted to tackle that subject today. But before that, guys, just make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. A common theme I've heard from Japanese people is that sushi made by foreigners is not really considered genuine. This is because in order to make real sushi, you have to be Japanese. But the concept when it comes to darker skin is that darker shade of skin is seen as very filthy or not clean. So if someone of a darker shade, like a black person or maybe an Indian person, is making sushi, the sushi is considered contaminated or not clean to eat. And I will say this is a very interesting statement, and I can understand that without proper context, this statement sounds very, very racist. And I think a huge problem when it comes to race relations with people from different countries or people from different ethnic groups is that people are not willing to understand the background of certain subjects or try to understand how people think or what leads people to come to certain conclusions. Because like I said, hearing this statement, it sounds very racist, I'm not gonna lie. However, I'm gonna do my best to try to rationalize or really give my thoughts on what I think about this subject. Japan as a country has a very unique history compared to other countries in the world. And one thing about Japan, that 250 plus years in which Japan was isolated from the world, Japan really hasn't had much experience or time to experience much outside of Japan. And considering that 98% of Japan's population is Japanese, many Japanese people to this day have not encountered foreigners, let alone people of a darker skin tone. And throughout Japanese history, like for example, the samurai Yasuke, when Japanese people see darker skin for the first time, it's kind of baffling for some Japanese. Like, are you dirty? Have you been playing in dirt? Have you covered yourself in ink? Like, does the black come off? Things like that to a Western audience would be seen as racist because of how hyper-sterilized racism and race relations are in the West. But if you really understand Japan's history, it's more of like a curiosity or like a wonder, like how is it possible for a person to be this dark? Because in Japan, most of the people are very light-skinned. So it's not a statement out of hatred, it's more so a statement out of like, I've never seen this kind of thing in my life. And in many Eastern societies, the lighter skin you are, the more pure or clean you seem to be. And even to this day, I've heard that, you know, black people or dark-skinned people who travel to like the countryside or very isolated places in Japan where foreigners almost never go to. And the Japanese are so impressed that there's people that look so different from how they look. And like I've said plenty of times on this channel, it's the same as if, for example, a light skin or a white person went to some tribe in Africa. And there's videos of this online, but you see like young African kids looking at a white person and they're scared to death because they're like, how is it possible for a person's skin to be that light? So it's the same concept. I just think people haven't been exposed to people of different ethnic groups. So of course there's a certain, I don't want to say ignorance, but people just don't know. So when it comes to things like sushi, I know the Japanese generally do not have racist intent when they say stuff like that. It's more so just what they know. And you can't really blame people for what they do not know. So if this statement is true, which I have heard a few times, that Japanese people prefer people of lighter skin or just Japanese people to make sushi, because I guess of that concept of darker skin still being seen as filthy, or like because dark-skinned people are not as common, I would get why that sentiment is there. Now, on a cultural perspective, I also understand that if you want to eat a certain type of food, of course you want it to be made by the people who made that food in that culture. For example, if I go to a Jamaican restaurant and it's run by Italians or Germans cooking Jamaican food, I'm most likely not going to eat from that place because I don't expect these people to make authentic Jamaican food. It's the same way I feel about Japanese restaurants in the States being run by like Chinese or Koreans or Vietnamese people. Like, it's not made by Japanese people, so I don't feel it's authentically Japanese food. And because sushi is originated from Japan, I would understand why the Japanese feel that unless it's made by Japanese people, it's not the real sushi that you would get, even if a foreigner makes it in a way that's identical to how Japanese sushi is typically made. And I'm not mad at the Japanese if this is true. I'm not, feeling that, oh, Japan is racist and, like a lot of other people would accuse Japanese of. I just think it's a lack of exposure to the rest of the world. And I think gradually as Japan does become more multicultural, or at least is more knowledgeable about things outside of Japan, things like these statements would change. But I do get, from a cultural perspective, if I want to eat Italian food, I want Italian food to be made by Italians. If I want to eat Mexican food, I want Mexican food to be made by Mexicans. So I understand that cultural barrier. And honestly, I think my message, I guess, to foreigners or non-Japanese people, if you really want to reach the Japanese, you have to try your best to understand how they think and why they think what they think. Because if I approach this subject matter with my Western perspective, I would automatically assume Japan is racist because they discriminate against black skin because black skin is seen as dirty. Not knowing the full context behind why they think what they do. If you don't understand Japanese history, geography, the people, what things that have happened, this subject matter is going to be very hard for most Westerners to kind of grasp in a way. And again, I don't know if this statement is completely true. That's why I would love for you guys to let me know, because I like to be educated. I don't know everything. I don't claim to know everything. And I definitely want to know what you guys think. And what I would love is if that people of all races would come to a mindset that they want to understand why people think the way they do in order to better understand people, but also to connect with people and even educate. Because honestly, I think that goes a long way. And as I'm learning from you guys, I believe you guys are getting something from me. And I think it's working somewhat. But please, let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. Also hit that bell as well to get notified whenever we post a video. Honto, arigatou gozaimasu. Minna, kyotsukete. Ja ne. Very good. It's spicy, but extremely delicious.
Yeah, man.
I love it.
Spicy's good. You know why? Because you sweat out all that bad stuff from kushi katsu.
Kushi katsu.
Kushi katsu.
Oishii.
どうぞ。美味しいよ。
美味しい。
めっちゃうまい。
うまい。うまい。
Yeah, at least one more time. You all right, man? You all right? You all right?
I don't think so.